Have you... I don't know, was I actually talking at the point you checked? Have you gone deaf? There's definitely audio. I've been talking for about... If there's no audio, and I've been talking for the past 15 minutes, then that is really depressing. If these guys had just let me talk for like 15 minutes with the audio broken, that'd be really like next level of sadness. Like, can you imagine? Someone just, I was just like, oh yeah, actually she's right. There's no audio. No one can hear you, Wardy. I'm like, oh, thanks guys. Why did you tell me this? Like, I don't know. You know, like, fucking, like 15 minutes ago when I started talking. That would have been nice. Would have been cool. Anyways, let's get into our first game of this best of 3 today. To the top left-hand side, it's going to be our pink Terran player from My Insanity. It is Beastyqt. And he is going up against the red Zerg player to the bottom right-hand side of the map from Team Liquid. It's TLO. He's going to open up with a hatchery, not a hatchery first, it's actually going to be a hatchery second, so pool first. So this is a little bit of a mind game here on Abyssal Reaper, of the sense that if Beasty scouts across the map, so I imagine what this is that a lot of the time lately, players have been going for this sort of fast Ravager play across the map, and this might be what TLO is trying to fake. So the first Zerglings will kind of act as though it is a pool first, which is what you go for the Ravager opening. But if Beastyqt was to arrive at the natural and see no hatchery at all, he might overreact to the fact that it's going to be a roach attack rather than just being a pool into hatch without any gas at all. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops, as you're going to have the Zerglings coming on up towards the left-hand side to see if they can try and delay the CC a little bit in the early stages. Now the Reaper does start to move down the map here. Beasty without any sort of SCV scout. Oh, he is actually going to pull the Reaper around. I said he was about to say he's going to go across the map. He's going to be a bit unfortunate, but he's checking around. He's being very safe and he's being very cautious, which you sort of need to be nowadays, because this pool first play can be so frustrating if you just send your Reaper across the map without really thinking about it. Unfortunately for Beastyqt, well, he actually makes a Marine, so he's actually going to be okay here, more or less. Two Lings come forwards. He's actually going to get the Marine kill. Reaper will come back, will kill off these Zerglings. And the next two Zerglings, though, may still sneak on through. However, the CC is almost finished building. Now, it's going to work out. He's actually drawn the Reaper away over to the left, and now he's going to come in, and the SCV will go down. So Command Center still gets delayed in the end here. Unfortunately for Beastyqt, with all the precautions that he took, still wasn't quite enough. So, Reaper will, of course, clean this out, but for TLO, this is fantastic. I mean, he goes for, you know, again, full hatch, no gas, third hatch comes down quickly. I mean, Beastyqt kept his Reaper at home and still lost an SCV, still had his CC delayed here. And TLO is going to get back in with another Zerg in the scout and seize the factory on the reactor, which means, of course, it's not going to be a 2-1-1 opening as well. So, good stuff to kind of figure out already. It's going to see this Reaper coming down towards the bottom right-hand side. Obviously wants to keep on figuring out what's going on here, keep on having a scout around, seeing what else is going on in the game. Tech Lab finishes up on the barracks, which is actually going to be floated away, so instantly here we're going to see the starport coming down in that Tech Lab. And while that's not really much of a surprise, the question that is left in the sky, though, is it going to be a Raven, or is it going to be a Cloak Banshee opening? Probably, well, it could be either or. I mean, actually, it's a kind of a choice of builds which has been very versatile lately, and you can go for either or. And it is going to be the Raven this time here from Beastyqt. So he starts up that first Raven in production. And in the meanwhile, we just see a Spine Crawler building up on the natural expansion. You see that link speed building in the back of the main base as well. Creep coming up the right-hand side from TLO. Just getting that kind of, you know, that map dominance asserted early. Because obviously, here on Abyssal Reef, it's a very large map. So you need to make sure your creep starts spreading early. And in all directions, so that you're going to be safe from all directions. I mean, especially because there's so many attack pathways. The last thing you want is to be hit, you know, on the right-hand side towards your third base, while you're also worrying about a drop at the fourth or an attack at the fourth, without any prior warning. And that's what the creep will allow you to do. It'll allow you to have that prior warning you need to be very safe against that. Alright, Lair still building on up here on the natural expansion. I'm just going to be seeing this Raven continue to come down the left-hand side of the map. Hellions will move out onto the map as well from Beastyqt here. A bunch of them are going to start heading on over to the right almost straight away. Beastyqt going to throw down an armory as well, so it looks like he wants to go for a bit of a Hellbat-based attack here. I'm intrigued to see whether this is going to be a full-on mech follow-up. He takes double gas now on the natural. So it's a possibility that he just adds extra factories and straight up plays mech with this. We see two Queens coming over into position. So far, the Hellions just getting rid of creep teamers and backing away, keeping themselves alive, keeping themselves healthy, ready to utilize their kind of Hellbat form here in the near future. As we see 2 drones going down, 2 or 3 drones going down to the Raven turret. As we'll see the Spore will actually be built. He's actually already got 1 Spore in position. He'll build another. Not sure how much that helps against the Raven, but I guess better safe than sorry, but it's maybe just costing TLO 1 more drone than he really needs. I'm just not sure if you need the double Spore here. At the same time, we'll see these Hellions moving forwards, and again, they're about ready to morph into Hellbats. There's a Banshee to back them up momentarily as well. There it is. And so this push forwards is going to be a little bit scary to deal with. Hellbats coming on through, and well, these Queens already have to back away over to the left-hand side, and well, I don't know about this. Just going to be seeing Queens continue to fight here, and we are going to see some drones already taking some damage. Bane Nest is going to finish up, and I mean, the first Bane started to morph in up to the north side. Obviously, TLO so far pulling his drones away like he should be. He's actually keeping his Queens alive as well, because the Hellions and Hellbats are just running straight on through towards the natural expansion. I mean, TLO here eventually is going to start running out of space, and where do these drones go now? The Spine Crawl is going to help out a bit. Lings will run in to get damage done while they can. Queen's still here. There's the drones, and you can see they are really out of space to kind of run to. Another Order Turret will come down, but the Banshee, oh sorry, the Raven will go down to the Spore Crawler. So in the end, that Spore Crawler was worthwhile. And TLO holds this off. A lot of lost spotting time, 9 workers lost. But look at the positive side of this. He didn't lose any of his Queens. He didn't lose any of his Queens at all, and he does clean up pretty much everything, including the Raven. Even this Banshee is very low and gets pushed away. So that's a very, very good job overall here by TLO, I think. I mean, yes, losing a few workers isn't great, but it isn't exactly the damage which pushes Beastyqt into a position where it's going to be very hard for TLO to follow up to now. As he comes across, he's going to see another Banshee, he's going to see more Hellions/Hellbats. As he gets up the ramp into the main, he'll just confirm that this is mech play. So immediately we see a Hydroten dropping down. We don't have a Rotron yet, do we? No. We do have a Spire though, but TLO, well, has he already used that? I don't think so, right? No. So he's probably not going to use the Spire unless much later in the game he sees an opportunity. Okay, no, he's going to make 5 minutes. I was going to say, I didn't have a chance to really get around to it as a possibility, but it is also a possibility that it makes a few Mutalisks to kind of force out some 4s and to do a bit of harassment here and there. It just didn't seem as though he was going to, because he seemed to have waited so long. But he is going to pop those meters out, so he is going to get a few meters. I mean, he shouldn't go past the 7 that he's building right now. Until, again, much later in the game, he can maybe look back towards a meter tech switch if he sees there isn't any anti-air, and he has a large bank or something, he takes a trade and then remaxes on meters. It could be pretty deadly. So these are probably going to be the only meters we see for the majority of this game, unless it really does kind of stretch on out. Now, we do see an Infestation Pit coming down towards the 3rd base at the same time. TLO here. A few Banes ready to defend from further Hellbat base attacks, or even just Hellions running forwards if you can get the connections on them. Wouldn't be easy. +1 melee, +1 missiles coming up. He's already got +1 carapace statues. So for TLO, just getting his upgrades, which are going to stretch across the board. And again, for now, just really committing in towards those Hydralisks. No Roaches in production. Well, coming over here, there's the 4s, there's a Viking. He gets himself like a Hellion and a Siege Tank there so far. Nothing really too crazy though, and again the meters take a pretty heavy loss for it as well. 4 of them going down. In fact, having lost 4 so quickly, I wonder if it maybe even is worth rebuilding another couple, just so you can keep on harassing the mineral lines a little bit longer. Although at this point, of course, turrets will come on up, and a single turret will be more than enough to deal with this lower number of Mutalisks. I mean, Beastyqt, we saw him already having 4s in production, almost finished, when TLO came up with those meters, and that's why I was kind of a little bit, or when the meter started building, I should say, and that's why I was a little bit skeptical if TLO was ever going to build the meters, because it felt as though Beasty was already preparing and so on, but of course, I mean, that's something we see that TLO doesn't. So, I mean, if TLO had known there was already 4s coming out onto the map, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have committed into any meters as well, but it's just the advantage of being an omnipresent sort of spectator in this game, as you see these Hellions are just going to have a great time roasting through those Hellions. No problem at all as they get their way through all of these, no issue. Another couple of Lings in the mineral line going down as well, and a few Vikings are going to shoot down that Overseer. So Overseer does get shot on down. And from this point, well, Hive is about to finish up on the natural expansion. You're going to see more Lings coming up the right-hand side as well. 5th hatchery, 6th hatchery even, coming on up. TLO's got all the bases, but he just doesn't really have the army. I mean, look at all the tech he's building into. Ultra Cavern now on the way, Lurker Den building, Vipers coming up, +2, +2. And yet, he just doesn't have that much on the ground. Like, he's got a very low number of Hydras. He's thrown away that one army. He went into the Mutalisk as well, which is actually quite a big investment, which has cost him a lot of ground army. He didn't really get value out of that. So a lot of them, moves which TLO's been making in the past minute or two have not really been that strong, and so Beastyqt has an opportunity now to push across the map, and, well, immediately some Hydralisks are going to go down. This hatchery is going to fall as well, and, I mean, Beastyqt can probably just keep on pushing forwards even. A couple tanks sieging up on the low ground. Vipers are here and will be able to abduct these tanks forwards into range of the units. We're going to see the Mutas and the Lings attacking from the back, but reality is they just absolutely melt, and TLO brings his Hydras forwards. They might be enough to clean this out. If there's not many Hellbats left over, then the Hydras will probably do pretty well against the fours. They still die pretty quickly, but their damage output will also do pretty good against the fours' higher HPs. So TLO will clean this up, but definitely wasn't easy for him, and it did cost him a lot. I mean, he comes out with a lot of Hydras, but he lost a lot of Hydras in the process too, and he's now going to take an opportunity to just redrone heavily. There's Beastyqt with a couple of Liberators on the way up, some Hellions, some tanks, plus 2 vehicle plating about to finish. I mean, Beasty's about to get pretty much everything. I mean, he's just rebuilding into this mech army, right? And he's pretty much set to go once again. This time there's a lot more siege tanks, and yes, there's Vipers up, but not that many of them, so there's not many opportunities here for TLO to really hit those versatile spells, which are maybe going to give him the opportunity to deal with a larger siege tank count from the mech player. In fact, I mean, the fours in the last round were kind of one of the big things that kind of kept TLO in this game, even, I suppose, because if they were tanks, well, obviously he would have had more troubles earlier because of the Mutalisk, but if they were tanks, he would have had such an easier time dealing with those Hydras, and I wonder if we would have even seen any of those Hydras left alive here, because there only was 2 or 3 Vipers, and so the first 2 tanks got abducted fine, but the next tanks, they wouldn't have been, and that could have been all the difference. So it doesn't matter. In the end here, TLO is still going to have to find a way to defend this army. It's still not looking easy for him. He's got some Ultras coming out. Kindness Plating is a few seconds away. Vipers trying to get energy as fast as possible, as TLO has to just give up kind of mining on this base over here. Meanwhile, he's got this base up to the top being roasted by Hellions, so he's all over the place trying to defend economy, but he's already lost 20 drones, and he still has 70 drones on the map. His economy is very strong. It was very high, and so it's not the end of the world for him, but now this Ultralisk is running into siege tank fire, and that's about to go down. And that's, again, a heavy loss, which for TLO at this point in the game, he can't really afford. And, I mean, what's he going to do now? Abduct these tanks forwards with a Blinding Cloud? I think just the one there, the second one now being hit by a Blinding Cloud. There's just so many in the back, which, again, he eventually Blinding Clouds down, but Vipers are going down as well due to the big shots from the Vikings, and somehow this one Ultra just about stays alive. TLO will once again clean out, but it's definitely not efficient trades for him. Well, actually, I mean, the trades are better than I thought they would be. I mean, I guess the fact that TLO had like so many more workers initially because he went for a lot of worker production, helping them out a bit. I'm surprised that TLO is actually kind of staying alive against these armies. Like, that one didn't feel as though it should die so easily, but I guess the Vipers did get their blind clouds, even if it took a little while. It was just enough for them, and I mean, I guess in the end, nothing of the Terran player escaped, right? So TLO kind of lives to fight another day, and at the moment, actually, maybe Beastyqt just has too many SCVs of his own. He's on 86 workers. I mean, I guess he's not maxed out, so it's not like his army is much smaller than it should be. It could be a possibility as TLO starts to fight in before these tanks are siege. I mean, that is a position where you want those Vipers, right? Those black tanks are all stacked up. I mean, the Ultras will do a pretty good job against the stacked up tanks, but man, it could have been so much better. These Liberators in the sky making life difficult for units that keep on pushing forwards, and TLO just runs a little bit too quickly into this. Again, imagine if he just had those Vipers up in the sky. He could have done so much with those. There they are. I mean, they're full of energy. Blinding Cloud on 2 sets of tanks. All of a sudden, none of the Hydralisks die. The Liberators will die much faster in the skies. And there's just so much more behind those few Ultras to keep pushing through after that engagement. TLO just a little bit rushed into that there. Because of it, finds himself in a tougher position once again as recalibrated explosives about to finish up. Gonna see Cold Reactor. And the Raven production is beginning. And later in this game, I mean, a lot of people will say this about Ravens in any matchup. What do you do against them? Well, I mean, I ask the same question. What do you do against these Ravens? I mean, most people's answer is don't let them get to that, you know? And, I mean, it's a frustrating answer, but in the way, it's kind of true. And TLO kind of had the opportunity to attack in right then while Ravens were in production and to take a decent fight out of it, but he didn't. And so now he's in this position where he's got to sit back, rebuild, and while he rebuilds, Beastyqt is allowed to build this super frustrating to deal with army, which is going to be those Ravens. Now, Fusion Core going to be finishing up in the natural expansion, and As that finishes up, of course, again, there's just extra possibilities to Beastyqt. Whether he's actually going to make battle cruisers and so on in this game, I'm not certain. But what is for sure is that he can now go in towards Liberator range. I mean, we've already seen some Liberators in this game. I mean, it's just that next stage for him if he does want to kind of go in towards the Sky Terran sort of playstyle. So get that set up, get that ready to roll, and it's available as soon as he sees the opportunity to make that switch, which honestly could be any time around about now. But at the same time, he's also been trading very well, so he doesn't necessarily need to go in towards another trade here immediately, you know? He doesn't need to kind of suddenly go, aha, right, okay. Sorry, I phrased that badly. What I mean to say is that he doesn't need to kind of switch right away. You know, he could just say, aha, I've been trading well, let's just go for another fight, after being taking great fights time and time again. So, it's an interesting possibility as we just settled up into this still, and 60 minutes in Abyssal Reef means it's a classic map to play mech on, of course. Super easy to defend, multiple bases and all the rest of it. And it's a map we've seen a lot of mech play on in the lifetime of this map in the latter season. There's a few more Zerglings just on the way out. Another Ultra or so going to be popping out of production very shortly. And these two Ultras are going to come up the left-hand side and try and push in towards this planting fort. The Siege Tank is going to get rid of one of those Ultras there. And this next Ultra taking some more damage as well. So some more shots being dealt right here as it's going to be having the Ultras getting taken all the way down. This Ultra's being popped out, popped on the ground. And you do just see the Lings and Hydras actually going to be defending this base up here, which the Zerg is taking. Now generally that is a base the Terran will be expecting to take, so TLO is saying as well, hold that fort, because here we go. Ducks coming through up the forts, bringing them in front of the Hellions and Hellbats. Obviously Blind Clouds already coming down. No Seeking Missiles out of the Ravens. In fact, they've got a lot of energy left to use. They've used a few Order Turrets already. As Ultras keep on pushing forwards, he's taking down a Planetary Fortress. How much further can TLO go with this? I don't think very far, because there's Order Turrets that keep coming down. They're just going to keep this backline of Siege Tanks very, very safe. But this wasn't the end of the world for TLO. This was a pretty reasonable fight. I mean, he took down a Planetary Fortress. He took down 21 SCVs as well, so that kind of works out quite nicely for him. And well, now we're just going to be seeing that +3 missile attack coming in from TLO. The problem is you can just see it, the Ravens, they leave, the Ravens get out of here untouched more or less. I mean, they're a little bit battered, they're a little bit bruised, but they're going to survive. And so now they're just going to keep on having that, having that energy to utilize. And that's going to be the real issue for TLO here. How do you play against these Ravens? I mean, he is set up with Aspire, that's true. He's got +1 Flyer Carapace, but that's it. So, he hasn't got great air upgrades to go into, like, a lot of Corruptors with reliably. I mean, maybe he just needs to go for, like, the Parasitic Bomb. Maybe if you just introduce some Infestors, go for, like, Fungal Parasitic Bomb combos. Something like that. It may not be the most reliable way to play it, but at this point in the game, what else do you rely on? I mean, he's adding Hydras in, but I'd be surprised if the Hydras were ever able to reach the Ravens with tank support in the back, and the fact that those Auto Turrets are going to be holding down the front as well. It's going to be very difficult to really see that happen, as you will see some Lings running on over to the left, a Hydra and an Ultra here as well, running all the way over to the left side. More Ultras, more Hydras too, and just looking away to see what they can get up to. And they're going to push up this direction. Planetary Fortress here is, you're going to see a Battlecruiser going to teleport into position to try and defend this base. And so far so good. Point defense runs from the Ravens, actually going to soak the Hydralisk shots. And now Order Turrets will start coming down here, and you can see those Ultras are just beginning to absolutely melt once again. And TLO, another little squad of units just trying to do something, but unsuccessful once more. And again, he kills a few SCVs, but there's just no long-term advantage gained by TLO in this fight. He just loses. There's a little bit of a sniffly nose, I suppose, still here and there, so do apologize if the casting isn't maybe as fluent as you would like it to be, etc. I didn't really, like, again, if you just joined the stream, I know Bishop's just gone up a lot in the last few minutes, but I've been pretty ill the last few days, which is why the stream's been offline. We missed Go4SC2 on Sunday, and all sorts of other bits and pieces, so it's been a little bit of a crappy few days for me, but feeling a lot better today. My throat's a lot better, but still got kind of like just the remnants of this cold, so again, if I'm just a little bit sniffly, that is why, that is all, that's what's up, and all the rest of it. So with that said, we are going into game 2 of this best of 3 TVZ. Thank you for sticking with us during a quick little break. I just had to take a moment to blow my nose and all the rest of those exciting things that happen when you've got a cold. Beautiful, right? Bottom left hand side, our pink Terran player from My Insanity is going to be Beastyqt. He's going to be playing against the now blue Zerg player to the top right-hand side from Team Liquid. It is TLO. Here in today's Go4SC2 monthly finals, €200 on the line, split between the top two players. These are the players who play the best throughout the Go4SC2 events during March, hence it being the March monthly finals. Top 16 on points get their invite to this stage of the tournament, and again, you get to play on through, and we'll see who's going to be the champion of the month. We've got both of our kind of regulars in here, I suppose, to Go4SC2. Well, a lot of the regulars, but a lot of both of our big-time winners, Snoot and Nurture, are in here today. Snoot and Nurture both already into the round of 8, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So we got both of those guys in here today. We've got a lot of regulars such as Lillicannon in the bracket, and a whole bunch of others. Obviously, if you want to check the bracket, then you can type !B in the chat, get yourself a link nice and quickly, nice and easily, and just go from there. Now, early here, not sure what that was from TLO, but he is setting up into a lair very early in the game, 3 minutes 30. I mean, it's not the fastest possible lair, but it's not exactly like it's not the fastest possible lair, but it's not exactly the slow lair either, is it? It is pretty speedy, so it's pretty speedy, and we're just going to be seeing an extractor coming on up now from TLO as well. So, extractor coming up from TLO, going to see this evolution chamber coming on up and coming into play as well. I mean, I don't know what the Evo's for so early. Bane Nest now coming down too. I mean, the Bane Nest feels as though it's at a timing just to be safe against a Hellbat attack, and that is going to be what we see here from Beastyqt. Armory's on the way up. I mean, a Hellbat attack behind a very fast 3cc play, so it's actually very important that TLO shuts this down without taking any damage, because if he does take any damage, well, Beastyqt's just set up on such a great economy back at home that TLO's just going to be falling very far behind very quickly. I like this though, the Viking. Going to turn this Overlord away very early, which means that TLO is not going to spot the Hellions for a long time. The only thing TLO has seen is the fact that there has been Hellion production, so he's not going to get to see how many. He's not going to get to see them attacking. Well, he will, because he sends the Zerglin across, but it does force that Zerglin to come over here, so that's pretty neat, as we're going to see the Spire coming on up from TLO, so super fast Spire from him. BC this time, though, will add on extra barracks, and he will set up in towards that kind of different kind of playstyle for the follow-up of his game here. It's going to be seeing the little bit of a link drop in towards the main base. That's what this Overlord's being used for. No real SCVs being killed, but it does give TLO a full scout. He sees the third CC finished up. He's going to see the extra racks coming through. Perfect scouting here so far for TLO to figure out what is indeed going on. So nice scout so far. Now we're going to see those Hellions going up towards the upper right-hand side of the map. And we do see double engineering bay coming down here from Beastyqt as well. So double engineering bay dropping on down. I mean, he's just going into the super standard sort of stuff. But with a wall here, spine at the front, I'd be surprised if these Hellions were allowed in. And if they can't get in, then this Spire should be unscoured, right? Those Hellions didn't get close enough there, did they? No, just perfectly out of range. I mean, the meters, to some extent here, do have to be a little bit of a surprise feature. Because he went into them early, it's nice if he catches his opponent off guard, because he has made sacrifice. He's taken a later third hatchery. He's taken later evolution chambers for upgrades. So TLO has to kind of do something with the meters, otherwise they're going to have been a little bit of a wasted investment so early in the game. Now you do see a Queen here actually turning away the Viking, and we'll see the Raven coming forwards too, looking for an opportunity. As now the Hellion's going to try and dive. Oh, Banelings just destroy them almost instantly, as we're going to see these Hellions continue to push forwards. And well, here we go, unprotected natural expansion. There's a lot of Marines though because of the barracks production. It's not the end of the world here for Beastie, as we're going to see 3-4 workers going down. But it's still a distraction. He's actually going to come in and start fighting this. The Zerglings come forwards as well. TLO loses one Mutalist, but then pulls back with the next Mutalist. Very turns out actually a pretty decent number of Marines here as well. And now he's going to get a few more SCVs. More Lings coming across the map too. Can he get any more Marines? I mean, they're in a bit higher number now. TLO going to keep on trying to micro. Another meter does go down. The micro is still here though. TLO really making the most of this. 3-4 Marines left over. The Marines will keep on fighting. The missile turret's about to finish. He does cancel it last second. Well, not cancel it, but he delays it last second. Wow. Meanwhile, TLO did lose a few drones to the Raven, but what a great little fight by TLO. The micro there on the meters. I mean, I know he lost a few of them in the end, but just moving in and out all the time to see what he could get up to and just maximize the damage. I feel as though it was really awesome for him, but overall, we look at it and he's actually down in SCVs, he's actually down in just overall supply, and I'm just going to be seeing the Lings and Mutas getting ready to go again. A few of them moving in towards the main base. Marines will stim, and the Zergling's going to have to back away almost instantly. Bane speed is about halfway done now from TLO, and we're just going to see those melee upgrades coming up to completion here in the next few moments as well. As the Mutas continue to just do a little bit here and there. Supply Depot taking a few more shots. And again, Mutas just seeing if they can get a little bit more damage done wherever. I mean, he needs to, because at this point TLO is definitely trailing a little bit here. I mean, I kind of liked how he was playing this game out. I really thought it was quite cool and quite nifty, but the reality is he gave up too much to, in the end, not really do enough. And so now Beastyqt has taken the lead, and while TLO is establishing a 4th base, again it's saturated and doing everything he needs to do. The fact of the matter is he still sits behind as 2-2 upgrades are about to finish up here for the town player. Combat Shields is not far away from finishing either. And we're getting to that position where the game is pretty much just going to be about to finish this up. We're going to see Mutas actually flying in and intercepting this drop, but even these Mutas not going to intercept the drop in time, and the Marines are just going to keep on fighting. TLO loses another 3-4 Mutalists here in this engagement, not the way he wanted things to go. And there's going to see more Marines coming in from the top side just to keep those medevacs safe and make sure the Mutas don't come in to try and chase down and get a bit too greedy. Oh, he flies over some Marines. It's another Mutalist that loses its life there, unfortunately. A few more Banes morphing in towards the front, though, as we see once more TLO getting set up and maybe ready to engage into this. And he's still going to have to take some really good fights from TLO to make this work out, as going to be having the Mutas pulling on over to the left-hand side, and Beastyqt, interestingly enough, is building up siege tanks here. I'm not really sure why. He knows it's a Muta-based composition, he knows it's Ling Bane, but building siege tanks rather than Widow Mines, it's a bit interesting. Generally, the Widow Mines are that anti-air, a little bit of extra anti-air against the Mutas, but also just the mobility. And they just trade a bit better against Ling Bane Muta than the siege tanks do, which, especially because of their lack of mobility, can be abused by those Mutalists and by so much more. So you see those Mutas still just moving around, plus 2 Carapace coming on up in the main base. See a few Marines finally getting a drop across the map. Beastyqt, he's been trying to get one of these drops across the map for a long time. I like that, dropping some Marines one by one on top of the Banelings, just making some very inefficient trades there for the Zerg player. And it's again just making the most out of a medevac and some Marines that were going to die no matter what anyways. So Beastyqt playing this really well so far today, liking the way he's playing, and TLO looking as though he is in a little bit of trouble as now Mutas joining him towards the south side of the map. I'm going to keep on coming across here again, try and hit the main, and well, missile turrets are about to finish up. I mean, they'll still die pretty quickly, but there's so many of them, it's going to be quite expensive to this to the Zerg player. The Viking here as well, and I mean, the most important thing is that it's buying Beastyqt time to send some Marines. Well, it should buy Beastyqt time to send Marines back. He hasn't sent any Marines back at all. He sent his Liberators to chase as Mutas go in towards the natural expansion. This Liberator is not going to last very long against this amount of Mutas. Beastyqt's just going to say, well, if I attack, you're going to have to bring those Mutas back to help defend. I mean, TLO also has Lings out of position, ready to counterattack here. So he really doesn't have that much in position. So unless these Banes are going to find magical connections, which the first few do, he's going to have to start pulling back, and that will be where Beastyqt is able to stabilize a bit back at home and then keep on still applying the pressure on TLO over from this side of the map. There's some Zerglings going to start coming back over. These Lings will break through in this direction. Beastyqt actually backs away himself a little bit too, just looking as though he wants to protect his 4th base here. So he's going to set that up, and just going to be seeing the well, again, a little bit more Ling Bane just collecting together out the front. The scan comes down, and still those Mutas looking to see where they can go, what they can get up to. I mean, the meter count is pretty scary. Even if he's been losing a few here and a few there, it is still scary, and you know, it's got the power to move around, but again, with more and more turrets coming up, it's difficult to get inside the bases properly in the way he wants to. He's going to, in the end, manage to loop around back towards the center where this Ling Bane force is sat. I mean, TLO going into a hive right now, he doesn't really want to take a straight-up fight, I don't think. If anything, he just wants to kind of apply pressure and make things look scary. He's going to try and run by through into the natural expansion, and potentially then up in towards the main, of course. Marines will... they take down a lot of those Banes pretty quick, but he actually allows a few of them to connect on Marines quite brutally as well. Marines will not get any further than natural. Only 2 SCVs killed, and can't help but feel that that wasn't actually as pretty a trade for TLO as it might initially have seemed to be. There's all of his Ling Bane getting taken out. The Mutas at least making a bit of an escape, but nowhere near in the numbers that they once were. And now once more Beastyqt finds the opportunity to start pushing across the map, getting into position. And here we go, a couple tanks in the front. I mean, he doesn't really want to siege them here, but they're going to go down if he doesn't, so he may as well try and siege them up. I mean, in the end, they do a little bit of tanking at the very least, keep the Marines safer for a bit longer. As Beastyqt still has a lot to play with, but maybe a little bit turned off of the idea of attacking, having just lost so many of his siege tanks and his kind of aid to this bio force. Pure Marine is powerful, but it's not everything, you know, it's not something you really want to kind of rely on. If you're going to be pushing onto creep to try and fight the Zerg player, you do want that little bit of support in the back with the siege tanks and all the rest. Now, this time we're going to see drop successfully will go in towards the main. As Beastyqt will look to deal with this counterattack here, we'll have to pull back. I mean, at the same time, if he pulls back, he knows where these units are, and it means they're not in the main base where this drop is. You're going to start getting quite a lot of damage done. Again, the units on the ground get cleaned out very quickly. The Banes will connect pretty decently here, and actually more Ling Bane coming through will clean up this drop very effectively in the end. But again, now it's going to be the opportunity to move forwards onto the creep at the front, and Beastyqt will drop a scan to push some of this back. And slowly but surely, here and there, he is beginning to make progress. However, TLO is finding himself the time he's been maybe needing to find to get those ultras up. Kindness Plating is on the way now. 3-3 is on the way up as well, and his first ultra is about halfway done the production tab, so he's found a chance, an opportunity to get into this latest tech of the game. And that's going to be the next stage of the game he needs to be in if he wants a chance in this, because it's, again, it's not been pretty for him. It's not been pretty, it's not been easy, and as we see some mutas and lings gathering up to the south side, I mean, maybe he's got a chance with these ultras. I mean, the thing is, there's liberators on the way. You know, the answer to what, you know, there should be answers to these ultras are going to be in the game, but still, the ultras are still something which are much harder to deal with than, say, straight up Ling Bane mutant. There's still ways to maybe kind of force a better fight around the liberators. As we see, oh, burrowed fungals. Well, those are going to be a good way to start things off. There's a lot of Marines getting caught in that and getting taken down. Marines on the main getting pushed away by the initial ultralists. TLO takes a supply lead for the first time in a long time, if not in like the entirety of this game, maybe even since like the first 3 or 4 minutes. And TLO, well, these nice little fights. I mean, now he's going to be able to break down over here, and he's going to be able to push through. Some tanks in the 4 left on their own, and they're going to go down pretty swiftly indeed. And now TLO goes into a Great Aspire, and Beastyqt is in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble, man. Like, I mean, he's starting up a couple of ghosts, so you've got more liberators on the way. But if he's been struggling to kind of do something while being, you know, ahead on supply heavily, what's he going to do now he's behind on supply? Well, he still does have the 4th gold base just to sit on, but because it's a gold base, it does mine out a bit faster, which means taking the 5th to the left-hand side here. It's a bit more important than it usually is, so you will have to be pushing in towards that a little bit faster here this time around, as we're going to be seeing still some Marines and Ghosts just sat down. I mean, the Ghosts are going to be one of the scarier features, right? With the Ghosts here, he's going to be able to fight against some of these ultras, and he's going to be seeing these Marines lifting on up into those medevacs and going to try and drop down in towards the main base as well. So again, Beastyqt just trying to buy time, harass around wherever possible. We'll get rid of a few mutas here, perhaps 3 or 4 going down. As the medevacs will all fall, the Marines inside, unfortunately not going to be able to make their way out of here. Another Queen at the front, getting rid of this SCV. Well, this SCV is tough, man. There we go, finally dropping. Armor upgrades go a long way. And again, this group of Marines just pushing forwards. Beastyqt, seeing what you can do, trying to push into some Ling Bane Ultra. Still burrowed infestors on the map. I mean, these Marines are completely on their own. There's no backup to them. Meanwhile, I think TLO's thinking about the potential of an attack down to the bottom right-hand base, but realizes that that is not going to be the case right here. And well, Liberators fighting a little bit towards some of these Ultralisks. These Ultras from TLO just going to come up to the high ground, and Corruptors on the way out as well, setting up into this and seeing how things will go. I'm going to be having the little move forwards here of TLO just pushing forwards. You're going to see Lings and Mutas. We'll start working the way through a missile turret. We see Ghosts actually going to start sniping down these Ultras very quickly, and wow, lots of Ultras going down super quickly. So Ultras getting dropped, and I mean, that's the scary factor about fighting against Ghosts. And that's why TLO is probably going to have to soon think about going back into a bit more Ling Bane and making sure he keeps enough of that on the ground to have a way to fight against some Ghosts. Now, we do see some drop lords coming through. I'm not completely convinced as to what these are going to be used for just yet. Some Brewlords joined the fight as well. Is he going to, I mean, there's 4 of them, so it looks as though it's going to be for a committed sort of drop. But with what? Is he going to try and ultra harass, or I'm really intrigued as to what exactly the plan is right here. I'm really intrigued as to what the plan's going to be now. On Beastyqt's side of things, he is about to get personal cloaking on the way up, or finished up. I like that, a little bit of a Baneland landmine, but TLO, his Baneland's over here going to get sighted, and, well, that's a little bit unfortunate. Not exactly. It's a little bit of a random scan from Beastyqt, but he sees those Banes, and nice to see those earlier, or sooner, rather than later. That said, he might forget about those if he isn't careful. Looks as though he knows what he's doing. Positioned some Marines right on top of them, and probably will just put another scan down shortly. However, at the same time, Marines getting caught by a fungal in the center. It's another nice pickup for TLO. He's also going to be able to maybe get rid of this medevac. Corruptors here will pick it off. A bit of a scouting medevac in a way, sort of suiciding its way through there to just about be able to kind of figure out what this army composition is looking like. Meanwhile, double drop to the bottom right is trying to play escape, and, well, one medevac gets shot down and the second. It's again unfortunate and unstable from Beastyqt. He's not really doing much with these drops at all. He kills a spore crawler. Woohoo. Spore crawler for 2 medevacs units is not really the way you want to be trading things at all at this sort of stage when you're the one who's trying to play catch up a little bit. I mean, I say play catch up. Actually, to be fair, Beastyqt's army is more expensive than TLO's, even if he isn't maxed out, which is a sort of scary thing for TLO, right? He needs to make sure that he starts trading soon, making sure that he's going to have the economy behind this to rebuild after the trades. Resource loss is obviously Beastyqt favored as well, which makes up for the factor of him not mining as much. It's those ghosts. If those ghosts can connect with the snipes, you can see how quickly everything's going to die. But if the fungal lands on the ghosts and cancels all of those snipes, then all of a sudden it's a completely different scenario. So this really could not come down more so to the engagements than it is going to. As we're going to see Liberator picking up some drone kills. Lava kill as well. I mean, it's nice slowing TLO down a bit and just keeping TLO busy around the map, I guess. Well, I guess the main idea from Beastyqt is to build up into the later stages of this game. Stemming forwards now, these Zerglings, a few of them, are going to take some damage right from the get-go. Scan just checking out what's down on this base. One spine goes down instantly, and Marines against Lings at this stage of the game trade pretty okay if they have medevac support, as long as there's not kind of like an overflowing number of Zerglings. He chases this queen forwards too, and we'll have to lift up here in the end and just back off. Still, again, though, just distracting TLO, buying himself time, because you can see he's building up these Ravens, so he's really just aiming for this later stage of the game now, and that's something he really wants to get into, and to get into that, he needs time. It was like TLO earlier. He was trying to buy time to get into Ultras, because that's what he needed to really fight against the Terran army at that point in the game, and he got there. And now Beastyqt says, well, to fight against your army with the best possible chances, I need time to get up Ravens and Ghosts and Liberators. As you can see, Beasty scanning around. Let's just keep track of the base of TLO. You know, if there's a base being taken to the top side that's potentially droppable for him, well, that's worth him just checking out. You know, if he can get up there and kind of cancel the base, slow down some extra gas mining, or even just some mineral mining, that would generally be a big positive. So just keeping track of where the Zerg player is expanding to, as we see Covert Reactor about to finish on up, as well as the Explosive Shrapnel on the way in production, Liberator range as well. For the first time in a long time, though, we actually see our Terran player is going to run into a bit of a Zerg army pushing up here, and wouldn't mind, we'll actually pick up a few of those Banelings, which will lead in the charge alongside a few Ultralists. And, well, BC will have to start repositioning his army, and here we go. It's a little bit scary, right? I mean, the Infestors are right out there in the open, and, well, I mean, they're sighted, and we see the Ghosts coming forwards, hitting those snipes. Ultras are dropping very quickly indeed, and they're sort of just stuck here. There's a couple of fungal growths coming down, but now the Infestors get sniped down. There wasn't that many Infestors on the map. In fact, those were the only two, so those two Infestors getting taken down. Meanwhile, though, we do finally see the the Overlord drops coming into play, and Zerglings is going to go into the main base. So they're going to come in towards the main, and Marines and Aurors are going to start kiting backwards to try and deal with this. I mean, Adrenal Gland Lings will clean up production structures and more very quickly, and even these Marines having a little bit of trouble, as they are just a little bit outnumbered. In the end, they just about traded out, but it was not easy. We're going to see some Lings coming down through the center, and we're going to see 8 more Infestors being built on up. Vikings and Ravens still sat up in the skies, and, well, +1 Flyer Carpus going to be finishing up here as well. I mean, I like the fact that TLO is adding in more Infestors, because the fungal growths are so necessary, as Link counterattacks in general are going to be very powerful. Beastyqt will start drop some auto turrets against this. I love the cloak on the Ghost, because the Ghost is so important to keep alive. You do not want to be losing those. And again here, Just pulling those back. The siege tank friendly fire, maybe not the most useful of things, as you'll see this time. Another Dropper Lord play into the main. He will shut down the Dropper Lords with these Vikings, and he'll just drop the auto turrets down, which actually should trade pretty well against these Zerglings. As you can see, very effective. But it does waste some energy on the Ravens, which is obviously a big resource in this game. As now Broodlord's pushing forwards. Got some Infestors here to back them up. The tanks will probably have to think about how they want to approach this. Queens here as well. The Libs have Lib range to kind of siege up from a distance, remember. We'll see probably Seeker missiles used. We're going to see a PGD to begin with, actually. Fungal growth on some of these Ravens now, as we do see some Seeker missiles being sent out, but only on a Mutalisk. There's a little bit of a messy fight. Ghosts are trying to pull back away. There's a Fungal available as they're still trying to fight against Zerglings. Pulled all the way back down to that left side. And actually, no more anti-air though from the Zerg players. The Brood is just getting shot out of the sky by the Vikings in the end. Ghosts have a chance to actually shoot down one of these Ultras at the front. And as the Broodlords disappear, TLO is not going to have much money to rebuild with. And there's still a lot of Ravens in the sky. Vikings, there's still a lot of Ghosts. Beastyqt still has the arm he needs in this game. TLO really does not any longer. He's lost absolutely everything, and that is looking very, very, very good for the Beastyqt in Game 2 of this series. And well, what a series this has been so far. It's been pretty cool couple of games. Beastyqt looking as though he's just about able to make this happen in the end. Hydden now coming down from TLO. Maybe a bit of a desperation measure, I'm not really too sure. Anyways, the scan comes in, we're going to see some creep teamers getting pushed back, and this is Beasty for the first time in a long time taking action out on the map past just drop base play. Past just, kind of general little bits of harassment. So let's be a little bit careful, of course, and we'll see, for example, these Ghosts do not just want to run into a whole bunch of Banes, so going to use those auto turrets to try and soak up damage in the front. Now the Ghosts are moving forwards and using these as a way to try and pick up some of these creep tumors. And just some kills here and there as well. Some links from the right-hand side going to try and dart through and find a little bit of a counterattack to get some more damage done. I mean, the more you can find at this point, the better it's going to be. These two Overlords still over here, ready to drop once again in towards the main base, try and create that distraction. There's actually Beastyqt is also apparently in a little bit of a tough time in terms of money. A lot of mining SCVs, 14 of them, currently just AFK on this base. Needs to get them sent up somewhere a bit more useful. As those links on the main is shutting down production. So frustrating to deal with. Now we will see auto turrets going to keep on pressing forwards. And as those auto turrets press on forwards, we're going to see, well, I mean, a couple of units going down and Hatchy just taking some shots. Marine's finally coming in towards the main and start shutting this down now, and he'll be able to kind of work his way through those overlords as well, potentially. It's sort of a weird fight. He is going to be able to clean this up. Actually, a little burrow to try and distract, but he will have the scan, and he will have the cleanup too. So basically cleans up the harassment once again. And as that happens, TLO, well, I mean, he's actually gathering his way back up in terms of supply. I guess it's just because his workers were a little bit better spread, so his income has been right up there. So TLO fighting his way back from what wasn't a great fight just moments ago. And now he's going to find an attack through the center, while Beasty's just a little bit positioned to the left. So this fourth base, this gold, well, it's not really necessary, not really needed any longer. But it is a position that's going to be, Beasty's going to be pushed away from, basically. And come towards now if these Ghosts will snipe down the Overseer to begin with, and just going to hit a few snipes on Hydras and Ultras alike to just get a little bit more picked off. I think TLO, just his maintenance on this economy and making sure he's got these bases to mine from, it's what's keeping him alive right now, but how much longer can he keep that up? Again, resources lost is heavily favorable to Beasty. And Beasty has just secured this base up here to mine from. And so if TLO doesn't do anything about that, he still doesn't have a brilliant position in this game, because he's still going to have to find a way to fight against this very efficient Terran army with not very much kind of economy of his own. Like, the Hydras are an interesting introduction to the army now. I mean, they're obviously here to try and fight against Vikings and Ravens, etc. But are they going to be that much better than, say, that's nice as well, picking off one of those Infestors. Are they going to be that much better than, say, the Broodlords that were in this army previously? Well, I don't really think so, and the Liberators, too, are very good at picking away at those Hydras from a distance. Even if they do two-shot Hydras nowadays, they're still, because they have such a large range in them with advanced ballistics upgraded, they're going to be able to trade very effectively. As you will see, this one Infestor just going to give up its life, as the Raven does get the CK missile onto it. Again, nice little trades here by Beastyqt. He's going to stim up in this direction. We'll find these few Ultras. And TLO does establish his base in the center. Some Cloak Ghosts, though, and that's 2 dead Ultralisks. And this base from TLO may be very important because, I mean, Beasty's mining from this base. And if Beasty's mining from this base, the only base Beasty isn't mining from that TLO is this one down to the south side here. You're going to see some Ravens up to the top. Looks as though they want to go to the main. I mean, he could just drop a whole ton of turrets over here. That would work as well. Meanwhile, though, we have a larger fight. Hybrids are going to get stopped by the point defense drones. And now Seeker missiles will come on through. And, well, the splits are pretty good. And actually even maybe killing off a couple of Liberators there. Those Ravens still not in use. Obviously, BC really had to take, pay attention to those units in other locations at that time. As you're going to see, these Ravens are just going to massacre this entire mineral line. There's a burrow. Turns out if the Ravens are the harassing units, though, the burrow doesn't really make much of a difference. And that is going to be 21 drones picked off. 2 ghosts going to be popping out. And they're going to come down to the front here as well. As there's going to be seeing the Lings, Queens, Infestors, Hydras. Still all gathering up together. 2 Ravens continue to come out here from Beastyqt, and still just looking to see what the next stage of this might be. This drone from TLO is trying to take another base, and he will use a couple of Banes to clean that Widow Mine up. So this hatchery can be taken with TLO. Well, Beastyqt should know about that now, right? So he should know about that, and if he knows about that, he should be able to shut it down. As Ravens again to the top side are going to come through and drop down an order turret here. TLO is still playing like a super low eco game at this point, which is not great to be playing 29-30 minutes into this TVZ. You know, if we see, oh my god, that Widow Mine, if he only he knew, and he has to be very careful. He's playing with a lot of Ling Bane, which is again good against the Ghost, but is it enough to really finish off the game? There's no real power units behind this, like Vipers or, I mean, there's Infested, but there's no Ultras or anything anymore, and those are kind of what's maybe missing here to really just finish things off for the Zerg play in a fight. Just time drop up to the top side or run by of units is going to be able to get rid of the hatchery. So that's going to be picked off right here. I'm just going to be seeing still some Lings and Infestors in the center, looking to see where they can get to. Going to be running on forwards and again looking to shut down some reinforcements. There's some Ravens over here that will drop some order turrets to try and help out. I like that. Putting one down behind the wall just to help out. As you see an EMP coming through. You see those Infestors trying to catch a fungal growth on some Ghosts. The main army of TLO positioned to the south side. He wants to maybe break on through in towards this main base or natural position. Seeker Missile comes down. I think that Infestor is not quite far enough away, so it will get blown up with some energy on it. Ghosts having to pull back. He's having been chased by Banelings, and he's low on health from some of these Ghosts, but the Lings keep on disappearing, and again, point defense drones to soak the Hydralist shots, and TLO is very committed down to the bottom left corner. There isn't really a way out of this position for him. Big fungal, but there's an EMP as well on every single Infestor, and now there is nothing left. He EMPs his own units. Oh no, Beastyqt just EMP'd every single one of his own Ravens. EMPs the Infestors again right now. What's going on? These Ghosts are still sort of fighting. In fact, the Ghost being cloaked might be one of the things that's saving him right now, because there isn't maybe the any detection to actually deal with these cloaked Ghosts. The fact that the Ravens lost their energy because of a traitorous EMP is actually costing him so much right now. Beastyqt could have had so much more, as he will chase these Infestors away. Big losses for Beastyqt, for TLO, sorry. As you're going to see those Ghosts running low on energy, they're going to have to pull back as... Okay, there is Marines here now, though, to deal with the follow-up of Zerglings. TLO throwing anything and everything he can scrape together at his opponent. He's going to run into this base here. There's 8 gas left mining. Doesn't matter if you kill that refinery any longer. It's just incredible. The last bit of gas goes into the expansion just after the refinery gets killed. BSC will see this base bottom side. Still has a base up here, well defended, especially from something like just bling run-bys. As his orbital goes down, a hectic few moments. As Beasty's also setting up to this top side. I think TLO, has he spotted it, or does he just expect it? He expects it, I think. Oh, there we go. He does run up here. He will deny the space. Meanwhile, however, his base down here is going to be in a little bit of trouble too. Ling's running in, though. The Infestor Fungal's good to help out. Got some 2 Fungals, but he is able to clean it up. As this base up here is going to be protected by a few Marines as well. No Medivacs to heal, but just enough Marines in general, as we're going to see those last couple of SCVs in this position. Going to be left alone as the Zerglings get pulled away elsewhere. And now 32 minutes into this game, TLO is still trailing by 20-ish supply. So the army supply he trails heavily in, and I just wonder, I mean, where can his drones possibly be right now? You know, he doesn't really have that many bases to mine from, so his 14-worker advantage is not going to really be acting as a 14-worker advantage, because he's just going to be oversaturated, which is obviously not ideal. Now, Beasty will be starting to focus up a bit more towards the top side of the map, where his fresher bases are. He needs to try and defend up in this direction. As we're going to be seeing Lings and Banes collecting in towards the center and seeing what they can do. Couple Widow Mines going off, some Lings getting picked away out here, and it's going to be seeing these Marines going to start splitting away. And I mean, low health Marines aren't exactly the best sort of army supply right here. As these Infestors still gathering up together as well, and it's going to be seeing the Lings and Hydras still seeing where they can go. So they're going to pull down to the south, and the extra Banes is about to finish up right now. As we're going to be seeing these units pushing forwards. The Infestors still an issue. Neuro Parasite will come down on some Ravens. Will sort of provide detection against the Ghosts, I guess. Auto turrets coming down too, but now he's dropping auto turrets on top of the Infestors, and they're going to start taking a lot of damage. I think TLO, as he just lost a bit too much. Is there anything even? What's even left on this map? 2 Infestors, 6 Queens, and 8 Zerglings? 10 Zerglings? Against 11 Ravens, 5 Libs, 10 Marines, and 5 Ghosts. Is not a lot left for either player. Resources lost 66 to 54,000. Crazy. Crazy amount of losses. Beastyqt may just want to repair up some of these Ravens, just in case they take another fungal growth or two. The last thing he wants is to lose a whole chunk of these to 1 or 2 spells that he really doesn't need, that he just can't really afford to lose. Like, there's no need to lose them. It's just kind of don't, I guess. As we're going to see Widow Mines cleaned up a good amount of drones over here. 14 workers going down as TLO taking some heavy hits to his remaining economy. He will use one of his Festus Fungals here now. Will pay off for him. Does manage to clean up. We're going to be seeing 2 Liberators on the way in production of Beastyqt. I guess at this point, if there's no answer to the Liberators, then they're a perfect thing to build. I mean, the only answer really is the Queens, and I mean, I guess the Queens can do something. We'll see the medevac there getting shot at the sky. Another 13 drones going down as the Widow Mine is still in position. Deadly Widow Mine over here. Now TLO only on 31 workers. Ghosts over in position. That will be a bit of an anticlimactic GG to this 35-minute game, but what a game.